We have a new team that we're learning this week in Indy, a team we haven't played in a while. And so it's a good challenge for us coming back home. We got a lot of work to do to figure these guys out and how they're playing. They got a new quarterback, and also it's a good challenge for us. It's really good to be, it always feels so good to be coming back to CenturyLink, so we're looking forward to that and putting together a great week.
You mentioned new team, but with the new quarterback that they've just brought in, just what have you seen out of Brissett coming in late like that?
Well, we have watched him a lot. You know, we watched him through the process and all, and also watched him at New England. And so we're kind of a little more familiar with him than just the first week they were on him. He's a really well-equipped athlete. He's a good football player. He's a big, strong guy that can stand in the pocket. Also has made yards and made things happen with his legs. They know that. It's part of the offense, too. He's running the ball some in their scheme. He's made a really nice transition quickly and looks to be a real factor. So they can throw the ball anywhere they want to with him. He's got a great arm and all that. And with the receivers they have, you know, T.Y. is an amazing player, and Jack Doyle's playing really good ball. So they can wing this thing all around, as well as, you know, we're dealing with the running back that we've dealt with for years, and he's a hammer.
34 years old and still going. Pretty impressive.
He looks great. Yeah, he looks great, and no hesitation in saying that. He's a good football player.
What makes T.Y. such a tough guy to cover? I think he had like 140 and 2 touchdowns against you the last time you played him. What is
He's
it?
averaging over 18 yards a catch right now. You know, he's really fast, and he plays well with his speed. Speed really shows up on the field. They know it, and they use him accordingly. You know, they've been able to get him the ball in all the variety of situations. He's not just a downfield guy. You know, he's a catch and run guy as well. Had a big play last week in that regard. He's just a terrific football player.
What is C.J. Prosci's status this week?
He's got an ankle that we're concerned about. We'll see how it goes and give him a couple days before we have to declare what's going on with him. But he has a significant ankle.
Did he sort of get hurt that last play when he caught it, when Russell flipped it to him and all that? Or?
Yeah. Yep.
What about how's Doug doing?
We're going to go day to day, see how it goes. We won't practice him today. We'll wait really till Friday to see how he does, and he's planning on playing.
How about Reese Odiombo?
He's okay.
How have you seen him play through the first 3 weeks?
Talking about Reese, he's growing immeasurably. You can see it. The responsibility of becoming the starter and taking that on, for his first shot, has been large. He's taken it in a big way. He's worked really hard at it. He's definitely improving. The communications are improving. We're just cleaning things up as we hope happens and we expect. But he's doing a nice job of fitting it together right now.
Are you going to have to make a move, or have you with Dewey McDonald and all that? Or?
Yeah, wait and see. Yeah, we'll let you know. It's coming up.
Pete, on the defensive line, you guys are a little bit lighter than you've been in recent years. You don't have that big 330, 340. I don't know if you ever had a 340 pound guy. But has that played a factor at all in some of the difficulties?
I don't think so. No, I think we're getting a lot of good play out of Nas when he comes off the bench. And he's a big kid, and so I don't think it's been a factor. We're more mobile than we've been, though. We're moving better than we have.
With Russell's success in the second half, was it just his accuracy that changed? What did you see that allowed him to get into the game?
I think he locked in. You know, I think he just locked in like we've seen him do so many times before. And early on, it just wasn't happening. It wasn't as sharp as we'd hoped, as he had hoped also. But once he got going, he was just focused so well and was communicating the best and communicating nonverbally with the routes and the throws he was making. The guys were just hitting it together, and it was really good. I mean, you can't throw on a whole lot more than he did in the second half of that game.
Do you have any explanation, thought as to why it's been hard for the offense to get going out of the chute for you in games?
Yeah, we haven't functioned as cleanly. You know, we haven't. We didn't at Green Bay, and we dropped a couple balls that would have made a world of difference in Game 2, and it was hard getting started in Game 3. So we need to. It's that ability to make sure the throws and the catches are happening, you know. And we saw them against the Niners, and the throws were there, touchdown plays were there, and we didn't convert them. And so regardless of how it happened, that was a big part of it. And so we just got to be cleaner and sharper and make sure that we're functioning earlier to get a better start going. I remember the first play in the Niners, or the first drive was a 15-play drive in the Niners game. Everything was perfect and beautiful and all that, and then we ended up kicking a field goal, and then so it's a couple different things here, but it's really clear what we need to get done, and so we should be able to function a lot better. We're really counting on that happening, and this would be a great week to get it started.
Does Ode Obusi stay at the right guard for now?
Yeah, he will.
What did you like, I guess, specifically about what he did? What he brought?
He brought a communication level that I thought helped Jermaine. I thought they worked together really well. He's played, he's been around 4 or 5 years now in the league, and you can tell. He did a very nice job in pass protection. Covered up his guys, had 1 or 2 rushes that he would want to have back, but just did a really consistent job. And then the communication across the right side was really sharp, and it just seemed to make us better.
You've got preparation this week for a game, and then there's also this bigger social issue that has come up with the protests and the president. As a coach, what do you do to balance those two things? Do you try to get guys to focus on the game? What are the challenges for you as a coach?
Yeah, I think that last week was about making a statement, and I think moving forward it's about making a difference. And I think that's our players will sense that, the coaches sense that we really like to focus and make sure football is really at hand, and we're doing everything we can. We did last week as well with another issue to deal with. I think it's going to be different this week. I know we already feel that it's different, and there's nothing lost in the sincerity of the statements that were made. Nothing lost in the willingness to make a difference as we move forward. But it's really important for all of us. We feel it. Everybody wants to really do everything we can to make sure that the games that we play are going to be played the best we can possibly play them, and with all the focus that it takes and all of that. And there's time. There's time to do other things, and I hope that you'll see that across the board. I know that I can feel it in our locker room with our guys, and I would bet that there's other teams feeling very much the same.
What is it?
I can't speak for them though, but I would think that they would.
What is it about some of your veteran leaders who are so outspoken on days like yesterday nationally, and then they come back to work and they do it? It sounds like they're back to work to focus at hand.
Yeah, Greg, I think for a long time around here with the guys that have kind of grown up in our program, we have been willing to communicate on a lot of levels, and we've encouraged our guys to think freely and clearly and get to the source of what their heart is all about. And so they've been encouraged to think for themselves and to think freely. And so I think that's why maybe they have taken the next step as they've matured, and they've gained command of their job and the work that they do, and they're more comfortable. I think is naturally the case, they want to reach out and do as much as they can. Our guys are extraordinarily active in the communities and in the areas where they come from, not just the local community, but where they come from, as all of our players are around the league. But I think they feel that social connection, and they're just acting on it. I think it's a marvelous thing, and they love our country, they love our flag, they love everything that we stand for. They want to try to do their part while they have their chance, and I think that's incredibly important. And they're valuable, and they're smart, and they have a lot to offer, all that. So here they've been encouraged, and maybe that's what you're seeing.
Is this team, this group of players, particularly well equipped to deal with stuff like this?
I think so. I think we've been as connected to this kind of thinking and this kind of mentality for some time, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't think it's had any factor on anything that's happened so far as the football, and I think it's only brings us together closer and gives us more opportunity to appreciate one another and all of that. And so we'll see what happens.
Was it good to see Jimmy Graham kind of get going for you a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, Jimmy looked really good last week. He did a fine job, and we just want to continue to see him be the big threat that he is to our opponents. And so we always want that. It just seems like I think Russ and Jimmy are really ready to hit it, and looking forward to it.
Who among your running backs is most equipped to take on CJ's third down role if he can't go?
Well, Carson has been a factor in there, but I also think J.D. McKissick as a running back, has been able to do all of those things. He's got a real wide breadth of ability, and he's looked really good when we've used him. So if CJ isn't able to go, we'll see more of him.
Pete, when you see the level of commitment you guys have had social issues. What kind of things do you as coaches do to check to make sure they're focused?
I really appreciate how worried you are about us all the time. We're constantly demanding a standard of participation and a standard of workload and a standard of mentality that has just become part of you have to be in or you're not part of it. So we have checkpoints all the way along the way. Every day there's things that come up that are the standards that we can draw from and measure and see how our guys are doing, how focused we are. And we keep checking those boxes off to make sure our guys are tuned in. Because they've been encouraged to think for themselves, they also know that they have to be part of this thing and they have to tap in every day and be part of it, and or they don't fit. So, those are the kinds of guys we have around us, and I have no problem in believing that they know how to do this.
Pete, you've talked a lot about not making primetime games or division games any bigger. Was there ever a time in your career where you did make a big deal out of one of those games?
Yeah, my first Notre Dame game. Yeah, I can remember it as clear as a bell. And not that you guys care about this story, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When you go to USC, there's two games they talk about. It's the Notre Dame game and the UCLA game. And the Notre Dame game had been through some of the former coaches that had been there that were still around the program, and all, they couldn't wait to tell me all about the history and all of that and the big. So the first time we went to Notre Dame was the first year we were there. We were playing there. I took the players on the tour, and we went to the Hall of Fame thing that was in town, and then we walked campus and saw the whole thing, and went to the grotto, and it was so overblown, and we got our butt kicked, and that was the last time that they beat us, And so I realized that we had focused so much on all of the hoopla, and I wanted it to be rich, and I wanted to represent the heritage of the program and all. It was a total mistake, and so really from that point, I've never been the same. Yeah.
How do you
love that matchup and all? It was awesome, and it was always awesome, but it just took on a different, a little bit more just because we have a chance here. I think it was the next time around that we played them there, and they decided to wear the green jerseys. They had Joe Montana come in and talk to the crowd, the night before. A guy posed as Jesus, and talked to the crowd and got them ready. And I just tried to make our guys believe that Joe wasn't playing and Jesus wasn't going to be on the field that day, and we had a chance, even though they're wearing the green jerseys, And so it was a really fun thing to kind of grow through and to learn about, but it was pretty crazy.
Is that a constant battle to message that with the team?
That Jesus may play on Sunday?
Not quite that, but just to not make big deals out of primetime games.
Yeah, it is. It is because there is so much hype, and there's there is so much talk about rivalries and matchups and all that kind of stuff in the history. Sometimes you'll say, well, over the last 10 years, these teams have been. Here's our record. None of that matters really. What's happening on that day at that moment with those matchups is what's really keenly important, and so there's a real discipline about that. Yeah, we're on it all the time.
Is that any different in the NFL with older players and things like that than college players?
That's a good question, because it could be. Yeah, it could be for some. It could be just because of they're older and they have a stronger opinion. The difference between college and the NFL is after about 5 or 6 years, these guys get a big opinion of what's going on. And in college, they never get to that stage, So dealing with that, the growth and the maturity that they go through, and then there's whole added elements to deal with.
Pete, can I go back to what you were asked about earlier?
What's up, Kenny?
And went back. The president.
They can't give you a seat in the front down here.
It was warm back here.
There you go. He's
The
holding up.
president today just said, the current president said that NFL is going to hell.
The current president?
The notion that it's somehow a distraction. Like, what else would you guys be talking about? I mean, 10 years ago there was no Twitter. That things weren't as much out in the forefront as how players could express themselves. It would seem more of a healthy thing that you all are doing that as opposed to a distraction.
Yeah, I do think that. I do think that we grow and learn and from these experiences that will benefit us in numerous ways. it was a really big deal. I thought Kenny, being a basketball guy, we read a story today about 50 years ago, Coach Wooden kept his team in the locker room when Kareem was there, as Lou Alcindor at the time, and because they wanted to take a stand to make a statement about social injustice, and it was received much differently back in the day. And Coach was like all-time everything, of course. I don't remember what year that was in his run, but this isn't the first time this has happened. This is just the next time, but it's a very significant time, and so I don't know what the president thinks about that.
Anything else? Thank you.